Welcome to Eureka Math. I'm Mr. Shankel. I'm going to be helping you today with Module 4, Lesson 17. Let's get started. Number one, we have to find at least three solutions to the equation y equals 2x and graph the solutions as points on the coordinate plane. Connect the points to make a line and then find the slope. All right, so I'm just going to choose some values for x. I'm going to choose 0 first. That makes this y equals 2 times 0, and that's 0. So when x is 0, y is 0. And I'm just going to plot that on my coordinate plane, 0, 0, the origin. Let's put a 1 in there. If x is a 1, then I get y equals 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So if x is 1, y is 2, that's 1 to the right and 2 up. So I get that point. And let's choose a negative 1. Y equals 2 times negative 1. Well, that's negative 2. So when x is negative 1, that's left 1. Y is negative 2, down 2. So there are my points, and then I'm just going to draw a line that goes through those points. I just want to make sure I get, that's not it. Anyway, you get the idea. It goes in both directions. So there it is, and then I just need to find the slope. Well, the slope is from one point to the next. How does my y change? Well, my y changes by a plus 2, so that's the change in y, over the change in x is just right 1, so that's a positive 1, so my slope is 2. The slope is 2. Okay, number 2. Same thing, find at least three solutions to the equation. Y equals 3x minus 1. Graph them, draw the line, find the slope. All right, so let's choose a 0. Again, let's choose a 0 for x. So I get y equals 3 times 0 minus 1. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is a negative 1. So when x is 0, y is negative 1, I get that point. Let's go with positive 1 for x. So y equals 3 times 1 minus 1. 3 times 1 is 3, minus 1 is 2. So when x is 1, y is 2. We get that point. And then let's choose a negative just to make sure. Y equals 3 times negative 1, and then minus 1. So 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, and another negative 1 is negative 4. So when x is negative 1, y is negative 4, and we get that point. And then I can see that we have this line. And I think I'm going to try to select this. Let's see if I can do that. No. Let me see if I can change this. Probably not. It moves my points, so yeah, can't really do that. But anyway, 0, negative 1, I should be there, and I can just continue my line in this direction. Anyway, that's the line. And then I just need to find the slope. Well, the slope is the change in y. Well, that would be, I'd have to go up 3, so that's a 3. And then I would have to go to the right 1, so that's a 1, and that makes my slope equal to 3. Slope is 3. Okay, exercise number 3, same thing. I'm going to choose a 0 for x. I get y equals 3 times 0 plus 1. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1, so when x is 0, y is 1, I get that point. And let's put a 1 in for x. Y equals 3 times 1 plus 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So when x is 1, y is 4, I get this point right there. And let's put a negative in. Y equals 3 times negative 1 plus 1. Negative 3 plus 1 is a negative 2. So that's left 1, down 2. And I get this point. It's kind of off, but let me move it over there. Okay, there it is. And here's my line. And something like that. Then we just have to find the slope. The slope is equal to the change in y. That's a move up 3. over the change in x. Well, that's just a move to the right 1, so my slope is 3. And I just want to point out something that hopefully you've noticed, but let me make sure. Let's go back to question 1. Check out the equation that we have here, y equals 2x, and then check out the slope. Okay, and then let's look at number 2. Here's the equation. The equation's up here. And check out the slope. All right, and then number 3, equation is here. Check out the slope. Have you noticed that every time we find the slope, this 3, it's also found as the coefficient of x? There it is. Let's go to question 2. Slope is 3. Look at the coefficient of x. And go back to 1. The slope is 2. Look at the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x, if it's in this form, let me go back to our last one. If it's in this form, y equals mx plus b. If it's in that form, the coefficient of x is the slope. Remember, m is slope. So this is called slope-intercept form of a line. We'll talk more about it later. But if you see an equation in this form, then the number in front of x is your slope. You don't even have to plot anything. You can just recognize it. So let's try to do that in the following questions. Number 4, the graph of the equation y equals 7x minus 3 has what slope? Well, look, this is y equals mx plus b. Here's the y, here's the equal sign, there's the slope, right? There's the x, here's the, well, it's a plus or a minus, right? There's addition or subtraction going on. You're combining positives or negatives. And then this is b, and we'll talk about b later, but what we're interested in is the slope. So the slope is 7. I could plot it. I could plug numbers in and get ordered pairs. I could graph it on a coordinate plane and count it out that way, and I would get the slope is 7. Okay, number 5. Let's see if we've got slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Yeah, that's the same form. So what's the slope? The slope is the coefficient of x, -3/4. All right, so if we can recognize that we have a slope-intercept form, then I know the coefficient of x is the slope. You have, number 6, you have $20 in savings at a bank. Each week you add $2 to your savings. Let y represent the total amount of money you have saved at the end of x weeks. Write an equation to represent this situation and identify the slope of the equation. All right. Well, again, this is something that you did in 6th grade, writing equations. Y is the total amount of money, and that's equal to the amount that I add every week, so $2, times the number of weeks, x, plus the $20 I had in savings. Okay, and this is y equals mx plus b. It's in slope-intercept form, so I know the slope. The slope is the coefficient of x. So m equals 2. What does that number represent? Well, that's the amount of money that you're adding to your savings every week. That's it. Number 7. A friend is training for a marathon. She can run 4 miles in 28 minutes. Assume she runs at a constant rate. Write an equation to represent the total distance y your friend can run in x minutes. Identify the slope of the equation. What does that mean? Well, this is what we did a few lessons ago. We just write our rate, which is 4 miles in 28 minutes. And we're going to set that equal to y, which is our total distance, over x, which is the number of minutes. And then we just use means extremes to cross multiply. So I get 28 times y, that's 28y, is equal to 4 times x. So that equals 4 times x. And then I just want to get y all by itself, so that maybe this will be in slope-intercept form. And then I can just recognize the slope. So I'm going to get y all by itself by multiplying by 1 over 28, the reciprocal of 28. Do that to both sides. And the 28's cancel. I get y equals 4 divided by 28. Well, I can simplify that. 4 goes into 4 one time, and 4 goes into 28 7 times. So I get 1/7 times x. Now, is that slope-intercept form? Absolutely. Y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. But Mr. Shankel, there's no b there. Well, there is. We just don't need it, right? It's plus 0. It's irrelevant, so why write that? But it is slope-intercept form, so what's the slope? Well, it's the coefficient of x. So the slope is 1/7. And what does that mean? Well, remember, the top number in our slope is the change in y. So this is the total distance, 1 mile. And the x, then, is the number of minutes in 7 minutes. So that's the rate. She can run 1 mile in 7 minutes. It's pretty fast. Number 8, 4 boxes of pencils cost $5. Write an equation that represents the total cost y for x boxes of pencils. What is the slope of the equation? All right, so I'm going to put my total cost on top. That's my y value. They told me that cost is y. It's the dependent variable, so the cost depends on how many boxes I buy. But something else that you learned in 6th grade, 4 boxes of pencils cost $5, so it's $5 over 4 boxes. Okay, and then I'm going to set that equal to y, which is my cost, over x, which is the number of boxes. And then I'm going to write the equation. I'm going to use our means extremes. 4 times y equals 4y is equal to 5 times x. That's 5x. And then I want y to be all by itself. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of 4, which is 1/4. And when I do that, I get y equals 5 times 1 is 5 divided by 4 is 5/4 times x. And that's slope-intercept form, so I know that the slope is 5/4. M equals 5/4. And what does that number represent? Well, that's $5 for every 4 boxes. And we had that from our original rate. So that's the equation, y equals 5/4 times x. I can use that for any number of boxes. If I said, well, how much does it cost if I bought 10 boxes? Well, I'd plug in a 10 and simplify, and it would tell me. All right, let's do the next one. Solve the following equation for y, and then identify the slope. Well, remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So in order for me to get this equation in slope-intercept form, I need to isolate the y. I need to get y all by itself. So that's what I'm going to set out to do. That's my goal. 9x minus 3y equals 15. So I'm going to try to get y all by itself. That means I need to first get rid of this positive 9x by subtracting 9x. The 9x's cancel. I get a negative 3y is equal to, well, I can't put these together because one has a variable x and one's a constant, so I just list it. Negative 9x and a positive 15. And now I'm going to multiply by reciprocal so I can isolate the variable. So I'm going to multiply by the negative 1 over 3. Multiply by negative 1 over 3 on the right side. Negative times negative is a positive y, so that's why my y is positive. And then both of these terms have to be divided by a negative 3. So negative 9 divided by negative 3 is a positive 3x. And then 15 divided by negative 3 is a negative 5. So there's my equation now in slope-intercept form, and since I'm in slope-intercept form, I know that the slope is the coefficient of x, and that's a 3. All right, so we're just isolating y. Let's try that again. This is number 10. I want y to be all by itself, 5x plus 9y equals 8. And so I'm just going to go about isolating the y. So first I'm going to get rid of this positive 5x with a negative 5x. Those cancel. I get 9y is equal to negative 5x and a positive 8. And then I'm going to multiply by reciprocal to isolate the y. So I'm going to multiply by 1/9. Do that on both sides. And the 9's cancel. I get y equals. And then I'm really multiplying both of these terms by 1/9. This is distributive property. So it's negative 5 divided by 9. That's a negative 5/9 x. Plus 8 divided by 9. That's 8/9. All right, and now that I am in slope-intercept form, I know that the slope is equal to the coefficient of x, which is negative 5/9. Okay, and one more. Let's try this one. The equation is ax plus by is equal to c, and I want to find the slope. Well, in order to find the slope, again, I'm just going to isolate the y. So I'm going to subtract a times x from both sides. That cancels on the left side. I get b times y is equal to negative ax plus c. And then I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of b. So I'm going to multiply by 1 over b. Multiply by 1 over b. That's distributive property. The b's cancel. I get y equals, and this is negative ax divided by b. Well, that's negative a over b times x. And then c divided by b, so that's a positive c over b. And then my slope is negative a over b. That's my slope. I know that because I'm in slope-intercept form, and the coefficient of x is the slope. All right, we're getting further down the road in these linear equations and slope-intercept form. I hope that helps. We'll see you next time.